Hello everyone, and welcome to another beer review. So today it's a Wednesday video, and we're back on the Love Lane Brewery products, because I'm always seem to be hanging about home bargains like a pervert at a women's toilet. So anyway, today we're doing a refreshing Helles style lager, and it's Love Lane Baltic lager. There you go, marvellous. Now what it says on this, it's malts has got lager malts and Munich malts. Hops it's got Tettnang, Mandarina, Bavaria. Nose is supposed to be herbal, floral and fruit. Palate is supposed to be honey and dry. I do love a dry flavour, I've got to admit. See, when you bite into it, you've got that lovely juicy dry flavour, you know. The fuck does that mean, dry flavour? Jesus Christ. I've hardly started and I've already kicked off with the swearing. Finish is clean and crisp. Well, it's just like me when I leave the bathroom, you know. I do like to feel clean and crisp when I leave. And the IBUs is 25. There you go. But it's 4.6% and it's a 440ml can, and it's probably around about the 160 mark. So it will be. And it's nicely chilled, so shall we get it poured? But also, because it's a Wednesday video and it's a lager, well, it's shandy. Let's see if this happens. Let's see if it's bad enough to bring out the old lemonade. So let's crack it open. Give it a little pour. Well, it's kind of towards that lighter end of the kind of lager colour spectrum. So I would say it's got a bit of a look of a Helles about it. As you can see, nice and light, boys. Look at it, nice and light. We do like it light, you know. And yes, what do we have here? Herbal, floral and fruit is what I'm going to be smelling. I'm not really getting floral. I don't really know what fruit they're kind of referring to, so I'm not really sure if I'm getting fruit or not, because the problem is with fruit, it comes in a lot of different smells and flavours, you know. Yeah, I've found that a lot of fruit does not taste the same as other fruit, you know. Strange that. And don't really smell the same. So herbal, maybe a little bit of herbs, bit of hops, bit of grain, maybe a little bit of grassy kind of smell, probably more than herbal. And that's really it. No fruit and no floral, unless you class grass as a floral smell. Smells like a plant. Yeah, well, going on how the description of the nose of this is not what I'm getting, I'm now going to start to get worried about the palate. Am I not going to get the honey anymore, or am I just going to get the dry? Oh, yes, oh God. Anyway, let's find out what it tastes like. Oh, right. Yeah, there's a bit more of a back end to it. A bit more hoppy at the back end. going on here? Somebody's been moving the table again and they're now jingling the glasses. I don't want to jingle the glasses, you know. Why are you... Oh, is it because I'm leaning on it? Oh, God. Oh, right. Why is this not moving? There we go. Shit, man. There we go. It's not moving there, look. Parkinson. Anyway. No, but... yeah, he was a wonderful chat show host, so he was. Sad he's gone. Loved his cricket. Well, somebody had to. But yes. What was I going to say? Yeah, you know how some of the Love Lane kind of products are kind of a bit overhyped? And I mean that as an understatement, you know. You know, especially with the bitter. Especially the bitter in the keg. Absolutely unfucking drinkable with the hop setup. This isn't as bad as that. Excuse me. Told you it was quite gassy. It's not as bad as it, but there is little reminders. So for the style of lager, it'd be the German Helles, which is supposed to be a lighter kind of lager. And again, the IBU says 25, and I would say for this style of lager, it just makes it the hop stand out again a little bit more than probably they would if it was more of a kind of amber lager or a bit more of a kind of stronger, more maltier style of lager. And there's just that little bit there that just kind of throws it. This is what I'm getting initially. It just feels like the back end just slightly thrown out of balance from the rest of it. It just feels that it shouldn't be there, the back end right now. And yeah, it's quite overcarbonated because it's nipping my tongue right at the front. When I first take a sip, it's like little needles attacking your tongue. You know, like, you know, that type of thing. And just like, yeah, that is quite hoppy at the back end there. Yeah, they're going down that hoppy route again. Not as bad as the Golden Ale or the bitter, but still too much for this type. We'll see how I get on, see if I get more acclimatised to it and maybe kind of settles down a bit. But right now, first impressions is too much hop at the back end, and yeah, it's overcarbonated a bit. And both are affecting the kind of drinkability and the whole kind of overall experience. So there you go. That's a good start, isn't it? Isn't it marvellous? Try to think, is there anything been happening? And, oh, there is a bit of news in the beer world. Apparently the Vocation Brewery's got themselves into a bit of trouble. Apparently following the rules and the regulations to do with effluent disposal. Apparently isn't one of the true vocations. Yes, apparently they've been accused of breaching agreed regulations, and they've been disposing of their effluent water, you know, their washback water and all that kind of stuff, down the sewer. While they, I will be honest, while they deny these accusations have been strong enough that the Vocation Brewery has been charged with doing this, and they're going to have to defend themselves in court. Now, again, everybody's innocent, including companies, including the Vocation Brewery is innocent until innocent until proven guilty. which is very, very true, and they might be completely innocent, although it'd be quite difficult to I think it'd be quite difficult to bring these charges unless you had some sort of kind of physical proof. Because I think it's a cases of, if it was just like somebody accusing you, you say, no, we didn't, then it's kind of their word against yours. I don't really think that would be enough to bring charges. So on that basis, I expect whoever has made the accusation and brought the charges, which I think was the local council, and I expect that they must have some sort of proof or some sort of evidence to kind of back up their accusation. Whether it's enough to justify them basically being convicted and punished of these kind of environmental kind of breaches, well, who's to say? But anyway, they have been charged, and I would also say that yes, while people and organisations and companies are innocent until proven guilty, there's also the other adage that says there's usually no smoke without fire. You know, so take which one as you will. It could be a bit of both, you know, from that point of view. Now, I have been suffering with the cold for the last few days, which is amazing. So even with suffering with the cold, I can still taste that that's overhopped at the back end, which is quite scary. Yes, because I had to go for a checkup. You know the doctors and all that. Oh, come and meet one of our nurses for 5 minutes, and she'll ask you a lot of kind of mundane, stupid questions, and then you can leave and feel that, hey, that NHS has served you well, you know. Yeah, well, all she did was try to kind of flog me a bloody flu vaccine, because she's reminding me of, you're getting close to that age where we would really recommend you get a flu vaccine. And I'm like, well, why is that? To prevent the heart attacks. So apparently now they're heavily linking influenza with heart attacks. What they're really doing is kind of taking kind of two issues and then trying to connect them together, even though right now there isn't actually any proof to say they actually are connected together, but they're just saying that, well, your blood pressure can go up if you're suffering from the flu, and of course high blood pressure is a risk to heart attack. So on that basis, if your blood pressure does go up, if you're basically suffering from the flu, then there's a good chance that you might basically have a heart attack because your blood pressure's higher. You know, it's like that type of thing. So it's kind of, and this is what they're trying to use to sell the flu vaccine. Although quite interesting about the flu vaccine was that last year's flu vaccine actually increased your chance of contracting the flu by 26%. No, it wasn't 26%, it was 40% actually. 40% if you had the flu vaccine. So if you hadn't had the flu vaccine, then you'd have been 40% less likely to contract the flu than if you actually had the flu vaccine. Wow. That's a success story in itself. And these have actually been verified by independent research, including the companies that actually produced last year's flu vaccine. And while I was in there, because I didn't take the flu vaccine, I put myself into it, they thought, well, tell you what, we'll give you a free gift, we'll give you the cold instead. And that was lovely, so it was, you know, because when you went in there and you checked in, it says, you're the next patient, when I actually checked in there. And I checked in there, was it 7 minutes before my appointment? So I was 7 minutes early, you know. I usually try and get in the door for about 10 minutes before my due appointment time. And then of course I had to wait in the queue to go to the little tablet and put in my details to say, hi, I'm here, you know. And I was the next patient to that nurse, who then basically made me wait another 20 bloody minutes before she actually saw me. And then she basically saw me in this room that was, Jesus, put it this way, all the actual official signs didn't actually have this room number. And then I found basically an A4 bit of paper stuck to a wall with the room number kind of penned on it, blue biro with a little arrow pointing me towards this kind of stairwell. And then through the other side of the stairwell there was this room, and the room was so well set up for basically giving me a checkup that we actually had to then enter another 2 or 3 rooms so she could actually find a set of scales to weigh me. So tell you what, for the checkups, what do you need for checkups? We're going to need to basically do blood pressure, we're going to need to do weight, height, all this kind of stuff, you know, that type of stuff. Right, so what we'll do is we'll put them in the room which doesn't actually have all the equipment needed. So it always looks so professional as when she's dragging you round about the actual doctor's practice to try and find a room that's unoccupied that might have a set of scales in it. And then she says, do you know what weight you are? This is when she basically realised there was no scales in the room. And I told her, well, I'm roughly about this kind of weight. All right, well, let's go and find out. So eventually she got it and we weighed it and she says, yes, yeah, you're still that weight. And then she looked back at my history and says, well, last year you were this weight, and the year before that you were this weight, and I can notice a trend here that I'm very consistent with the weight, you know, it's still the same. Unless that your scales are knackered and they just make everybody that weight. So maybe everybody that basically gets weighed on these scales is that weight. I honestly don't know, but you know, conspiracy theories, I love them. But yeah, so that was wonderful. So yeah, so I've had to be suffering with it. That's one thing I've noticed, by the way, because I did fancy sucking Fisherman's Friend, you know, and I'll be totally honest, they're quite hard to find, Fisherman Friends, nowadays. A lot of people put that down to Brexit, but hey, you never know. Apparently a lot of French fishermen are coming over here and they don't have friends and they're basically fishing in our waters, so I think our fishermen and their friends are going somewhere else to fish. But yes, so yeah, I could find really good cough sweets, you know, like I like a really good menthol kind of cough sweet, especially when I'm kind of choked up with a cold. But yeah, I was struggling to kind of find decent kind of cough sweets. Also, cough sweets have gone up in price as well. They're quite expensive compared to what they used to be. You know, basically £1 or just slightly less than £1 for a wee packet of kind of cough sweets, but that's ridiculous now. So it's absolutely ridiculous. So yeah, I've been suffering for that, which is an absolute bloody joy. What's the point? I mean, that was felt great, and then you go to these bloody places, they check you up to make sure there's nothing wrong with you, and then they make you feel worse by you catch something. Another thing I noticed is when I was sitting in the waiting room, you know, waiting because I was the next patient, you know, I'm the next one, you know, nobody before me. Why am I waiting? Don't know. Maybe she needed to poo. She was in there for a while, you know. I'll wait till that dies down a bit, you know, and then I'll go and basically do a health check and that silly bugger, and then give him a dose of the cold. I won't say if she was doing with me to give me the cold, but it wasn't that. But yes, one thing I did notice when I was in there was an old guy who's in his 90s that came in, and he had an operation previously in his ear, so it was all kind of bandaged up and everything else. He was coming in and he was trying to get somebody to, well, we were trying to book an appointment for the Friday. This was on the Wednesday, and he was trying to book an appointment on the Friday to get the stitches out, because he had something cut out of his ear or something like that, and it was obviously sewn up afterwards, and yeah, he needed the stitches taken out and things like that. And then the surgeon says, well, no, unfortunately we've got the flu clinic on that day, so we're totally fully booked giving flu vaccines. And I'm like, really? And he says, okay, what about the Thursday then? No, flu clinic's on that day as well, so we're fully booked, giving out flu vaccines. And I'm like thinking, they must be making a lot of money from this. They must be, because let's be totally honest, they're firing out these flu vaccines. Also, they tried to offer me a wee COVID one, and I think she got the message when I said, fuck off, you know. You have COVID? Fuck off. No, right. Flu? No. You know. So yeah, I do feel now it's a case as though with this doctor's practice, I've never seen the doctor. Never. I don't even know who my doctor's name is. You know. Every time I've gone there, I've always just been fobbed up with nurses. You know, or you must come and see us to make sure you're healthy, and it's just always nurses that seem to do it. I've never seen a doctor in that practice yet. You know, even when I've been in there with illnesses, no, they still kind of fob you off with a nurse. Or they'll get a doctor to give you a call. Okay, fine. You know, we'll just do it over the phone. Okay, not a problem. Wait a minute, you're not a nurse? Yes, well, the doctor's busy, you know. Yes, let's count his money or something, I don't know. So yeah, I've never seen a doctor, but I just feel that you go into certain kind of doctor's practices, and it seems to be more about basically injecting you with drugs that you might not really need, because I presume they're making money from it. I think it's, you know, it's like when you go to the dentist and they'll basically want you to go private, because at the end of the day, well, we could do this in the NHS, but then it's a case of I won't be able to get all the optional extras on my Bentley, you know, so I just really need to kind of, you know, put you in as private so I can screw the living daylights out of it. Have you ever had a mortgage for dental work? You know what I mean? It's like that, you know. What's the equity like in your house? You know? You willing to sign it over to me? You know what I mean? It's like that. And I just feel that, well, we might not be private, but I still have this feeling now that the NHS seems to be more about money than anything else. I just feel that way. I just feel it's a case as though it's not really about, well, doing the best for you. It's, well, how much is this going to cost me? Or how much am I going to make from it? And it just feels a bit like that. And, well, I would say, oh, yes, NHS, oh, we can't go private. Well, I think it's the case as if they could force you private, they bloody would. And while they can't right now, they're going to bleed every other bit of money they can out of the NHS and that type of stuff without really kind of delivering a quality service or product to you. So, yes, that's what I feel like, especially more from a GP side of it. GP side of it and dental side of it is just, I mean, even now it's a case of people trying to get, you know, registered as a new patient at doctor's surgeries and dental surgeries, especially if it's on the NHS. In some areas it's nigh on impossible, seriously. It's just crazy. So, yeah. Not good. It's a wee bit earthy as well. Now, I would say that the hops aren't so bad now. A wee bit, just a little kind of haze of pine, just a little waft of pine there. You know, as a kind of a, how would you say, just a little waft, as in the air. But it's gone a bit earthy now. So it's not so much of the hops at the back end, it's gone slightly kind of earthy now as you've got to become more acclimatised to it. And I'll be totally honest, we did their, excuse me, we did the Marzenfest Amber Lager about a week ago, and that was a lot better than this. And this is a regular, excuse me, this is a regular beer for the Love Lane Brewery, where the Marzenfest kind of amber lager, it's an exclusive batch basically, so it's a kind of a small batch, and it's very strange that the one you've chosen to be a regular everyday availability tastes like this, and the one that actually tastes quite nice, well, we don't then get too much of a good thing now, do we? Oh no. So what we'll do is we'll make that a limited kind of release. Marvellous, isn't it? And is it me? I mean, seriously, am I looking for too much in life? I mean, seriously, I'm just kind of wondering, am I asking for too much? You know, or is it just me that seems to be crazy, and the actual world is actually quite normal, and it's just me, it's a mad person? Or is this world going absolutely bloody pot arse crazy? I mean, seriously. Because it's just, I just don't understand it. I really don't, you know. So we make a good beer, but oh yeah, we'll do that as a limited release. But the shitty one will just keep firing out, you know. Because at the end of the day, you know, well, I mean, I'd be interested to see what this costs, because this is less. This is 4.6, where I think the Marzenfest Amber Lager was 5.6, I think it was. And the Marzenfest was £1.61. I'll need to look up the receipt. I'll put it obviously down below how much this cost. But the Marzenfest was £1.61 for the same amount, which was a lot nicer beer than this. And they're not having that on as a permanent release, you know, a permanent availability. It's a bit mad, isn't it? Yeah, well. Right, let's break down these flavours. Right, oh, there's that bloody hops coming back again there. Take smalls, that's good. Right, let's start off with the malt. Is not too bad. Obviously it's a Helles, so it's a bit lighter on the malt at the front end, with a bit of grain. An okay bit of sweetness, but overall it's not a bad start. You know, you expect things to be in a bit of a lighter end. The main downside is this mouth being attacked by the carbonation almost instantly. You basically get it in there. So of course you're also getting that, especially at the front of the mouth and the front of the tongue, you know, is taking a bit of hammering initially, which again just kind of pulls you away from the front of the mouth effect a wee bit, and it kind of detracts from that kind of effect. Moves on to the kind of mid-tongue, and yeah, you're getting little kind of light grassy tones, little grain, a little bit of malt and a bit of sweetness. Not really that much different until about midway along the mid-tongue, and in both you start getting hops, and it's just a kind of quite a bitter hop kind of, and again it doesn't feel as if it's not. It's the thing that always stands out. It's quite a sharp, not as sharp as previous, but still quite sharp, and because of this style of beer it stands out even more. It's just a kind of sharpness to it that does make it feel as if it's kind of extract oil. I've said this before about this brewery, and I've got to say it again. And then just really from the kind of mid-tongue to the kind of back of the mouth, it's just basically all hops. You don't really pick up any. Maybe the only kind of thing that still kind of lingers about is that little bit of sweetness there, but every other flavour is lost after that. And yeah, it's just all hops. And what did they call it? Finish was clean and crisp. Sharp and a bit lingery is probably the best way of putting it, because yeah, you're just getting this kind of slightly kind of short, kind of sharp, unpleasant kind of hoppiness or bitterness. But as I've noticed, when it dies down, the bitterness just ever so slightly getting little kind of wafts of pine. And overall, not the best. Really not the best. No, it's not good. It really isn't good. The more I drink it, the worse it's becoming. So it is, and it's just. So what's this? There's some spill in the can that I missed out on. Love Lane Brewery's home is in the heart of Liverpool's vibrant Baltic triangle, a place full of doers, creators and makers. Our take on the iconic blonde station beer of the Bavarian Beer Garden, a crisp and wonderfully malty Helles lager with sweet honey and floral notes for thirst-quenching refreshment. I could say maybe the sweetness is maybe kind of what they're classing as the honey notes, but it doesn't have that kind of roundness to it, that kind of slight kind of warmth to the sweetness. It's just sweet, you know. Maybe. Yeah, a little bit of it, but yeah, maybe they're construing that. I just feel that honey tones just have a little bit more earthiness to it, you know, and a bit more roundedness to it instead of just sweet, you know. Whereas this is kind of, I'm not saying it's sweet, but the sweetness is just sweet, you know. There's no real depth to that sweetness. It's just sweet, you know. That telling, I like doing that. Sweet, no. Might even do it again. Nah, what sweet? Anyway, right. Might as well. I mean, it's not a particularly good lager in its own right. I mean, before I actually, will it, Shandy? You can lick my hat. Anyway, but yes, it's out of 10. What would I give it as a lager? It's down. It's down. I would probably say give it a 3. It's down about a 3. There is some okay flavours, but probably for the flavours it gets 2, and probably for the price, because it'll be around about the kind of £1.60 mark, I would expect. I would say it's under £2 anyway, so I'll give it, with today's prices, I would give it a point for that. So yes, a 3 out of 10 would probably be a fair result. What's it like as a shandy? Let's see. Right, what am I going to take it to? Right, we'll take it to that bit there. Right, not put too much in. It's not even half a can, and that's the other 30ml. So, smells like lemon. That'll be the fruit. Yes, it does. Does shandying actually improve the flavour of it? Yes, it does. Because instead of it being a kind of a over-hopped back-end lager, it's just a refreshing drink now. And I would say it's definitely got a clean, crisp finish. Yeah, not bad. So anyway, thanks for watching. Cheers. Bye for now.